Good morning, everybody. My name is Jim Coltas, presiding member for the Metro Outer Development Assessment Panel this morning, and I'll open the meeting at 9:32 a.m. In doing so, I'll acknowledge we're hosting this meeting on the traditional land of the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation, and we acknowledge the Aboriginal people as traditional custodians of Western Australia, pay respect to elders past and present, and the ongoing connection between people, land, waters and community. The meeting will be run in accordance with DAP Standing Orders 2025 under the Planning and Development Regulations 2011. The meeting is being recorded and live streamed on the DAP website in accordance with Regulation 42A of the Planning and Development Regulations 2011. During the meeting, panel members may refer to technical devices to assist them in considering the information before them. At the meeting today, members present are myself as presiding member, to my left Mr. Clayton Hine, deputy presiding member, and to his left Francesca Lefenti, specialist member. We're joined today by Councillor Caroline Knight from the City of Mandurah and Councillor Peter Rogers from the City of Mandurah, and on the other item on the agenda, Councillor Jackie Huntley from the City of Wanneroo and Councillor Bronwyn Smith from the City of Wanneroo. Item 2 on our agenda, apologies, I have none. Item 3, previous minutes of meetings are available on the DAP website. Part B of the agenda is the City of Mandurah application, and firstly I will ask all panel members to acknowledge that they've duly considered all the documentation contained within Part B of the agenda and Part B related information, and the R13 direction response, which was published on the 27th of October. Please raise your hands if you're familiar. Thank you, that's unanimous. Councillors, was this item considered at a council meeting at all, a briefing session?
No, it wasn't, but I would just like to make a disclosure of perceived impartiality, as I am a member of the SPC, and Chris Harmon is also a member of the SPC, and I believe he's representing the proponent.
Okay.
Consider the application on its merits and exercise independent judgment.
Okay, well, on that basis, I'll determine there is no impartiality interest that would prevent you from participating, so you can vote as well. Okay, item 3 is the Form 1 DAP application for a proposed childcare centre at lot 9116 Huntington Street, Mandurah Bay, in accordance with DAP Standing Orders 2025. We have a presenter, and I will remind Mr. Regan Cake from Dynamic Planning and Development that he has 3 minutes to make his presentation. Mr. Cake.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for the opportunity to address you all in relation to this proposed childcare centre at lot 9116 Huntington Street in Mandurah Bay, which refers to the parent lot, as it's currently a lot under creation through a subdivision application. I don't think I'll be taking the full 3 minutes today, as the application is reasonably straightforward. We've done a fair body of work with the City of Mandurah prior to today to get to a position where all parties are in agreement with essentially the recommendation and most of the conditions of approval. So obviously the recommendation is for approval, which we wholeheartedly support. We think it'll be a great development for the expanding local community down in that part of the world. Just touching on a bit of the, site context in relation to the proposal. It is in a greenfield subdivision whereby the site has been specifically planned for a childcare centre development, sort of along from the outset and subdivision design, and that's sort of evident in the fact that the site itself has 4 different street frontages that surround the entire development. It's located in close proximity to the Lakeland Shopping Centre, sort of 1.2 k's north. It's over the road from the Mandurah Bay Primary School, which is obviously that co-location presents a number of advantages for parents who might have kids at the school, as well as the childcare centre. It's also in close proximity to the St Martin's Catholic College, which not shown on that satellite aerial, but it's sort of 800 metres sort of south of the site. As I mentioned, it's got 4 street frontages to Huntington, Ocean Parade, Capistrano Way and Carmel Way, which is a sort of internal subdivision road that's being created at the moment. That sort of meant there's no direct interface with residential development, which is great. The development itself, it's proposed to accommodate 97 children and 17 staff. The operator will be NIDO, so a high-end sort of offering to that local community. There's a total of 20 on-site bays proposed with additional street parking on Carmel Way, which does have a direct pedestrian link or connection to the centre. The bulk and scale of the development's single-story in nature, designed to be broadly consistent with the residential development in the surrounding community. Just briefly touching on some of the proposed conditions, as I mentioned earlier, we're generally supportive of the recommendation provided by the city. There's probably just some minor administrative bits and pieces we hope to get changed and a minor tweak to condition 17. The first is condition 1A. We sort of read that condition when the RAR was published and had a bit of backwards and forwards with the city and sort of weren't sure what the intent of that condition was. So we sort of just proposed some amended wording to make that a little bit clearer in terms of what that condition intent is. And then the second one is just shifting condition 4, which refers to the approved waste management plan. Our view is that if it has been approved, it really just requires implementation prior to occupancy as opposed to prior to construction. And the last one is condition 17. We did propose 6 on-street bays as part of the proposal. In a bit of backwards and forwards with the operator through the design process, they've sort of only expressed a need or a want for 4 street bays, and there's some benefits in getting that sort of separation from the Carmel Way, Capistrano Way intersection as well with some of that street parking. So if possible, we'd like that modification back down to 4 bays as opposed to 6. And that's really it.
Thank you very much. Panel members, are there any questions of the presenter? Councillors? No? Other panel members? Yes.
Regan, are you satisfied with or happy with the condition 17 that requires a maintenance fee?
Yeah, look, it was one of those matters discussed with the city throughout the application process, and except it's a little bit unusual that we've certainly had a number of other childcare centres that proposed street parking that didn't have that maintenance condition imposed. But in chatting with the operator, there is a need for some of those on-street bays, the 4 that we're looking for, and we sort of accepted that as a bit of a trade-off. The city initially weren't going to support the street parking, and as a result of that, we've sort of met in the middle, I guess, and accepted that maintenance.
But you're paying for the construction of the street parking?
Correct, and then the contribution to the maintenance as well through that condition. Yeah.
Yes.
My question relates to your request to modify condition 17 to reduce the 6 bays to 4. The plans that I have in front of me show the 6 bays in them. Do you have any knowledge as to which bays would be removed? And I'm conscious of the proposed layout of the lots adjoining it. Do you know what are you thinking?
There's no real preference, but I think the intent was probably the bays closest to the Carmel Way and Capistrano intersection, I think, because just in terms of the manoeuvring and reverse parallel bays in proximity to the intersection is probably less desirable than some of the others.
I understand.
In regard to the maintenance fee of $900, is that a per bay, per annum, or just a one-off?
Just a one-off is what I understood. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll see whether the council understands it as well. Okay, I don't have any further questions. That being the case, panel members, if you have any queries of the council staff, Paige Pashkoff and Aaron Lucas, please go ahead.
I was wondering if, thank you, whether council staff could just respond to some of those things that were just raised.
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you. Through the chair, yes, the city, we've spoken to Mr. Cake recently in the lead up to the time post-publication of the RAR and today. The modifications suggested are supported by staff. There's a bit of logic involved in the reduction in the on-street bays in terms of the interface with the corners. I think he's raised a pretty good point there. The tinting, clarifying that tinting is pretty straightforward, and yeah, we're pretty comfortable with all the changes that were suggested.
Thank you. And any other questions from panel members of the staff? Yes, Mr. Hyam.
If you acknowledge you don't have a parking in lieu, payment in lieu parking plan under the requirements of the legislation, then I ask again, what's the planning basis for charging the maintenance or even cash in lieu?
Well, I guess in response, we could be asking for a modification to the plan to provide sufficient parking on the site, but we decided to have a negotiation with the proponent that addressed the needs for the parking to be addressed and using the public road system to accommodate it. The maintenance contribution is something that's been done a couple of times with the city. We've got a calculation of how much it costs, and I think we've forecast that over the next 10 or 15 years and come up with that fee. So we're very aware and comfortable with the fact that it's a one-off payment. That's not an annual requirement or anything like that. We're in the midst of trying to prepare a number of developer contribution schemes and things like that in the city of Mandurah. Parking is one of those. But in lieu of trying to get another parking bay or two on the site, we felt this is a better outcome with the agreement of the applicant.
So what you're saying, there is no planning basis for the maintenance fee?
I guess this is something that our engineering team have requested. They initially didn't want any parking because of the maintenance burden, and they accepted it. Their suggestion initially was to add more bays on the site, but we had an internal negotiation process, and that was the outcome.
So these bays are public bays which could be shared by parents dropping kids off at the school as well?
That's correct. They're not exclusive bays, and we see that the great benefit in on-street bays, which is how we managed to convince our engineering team that having those bays available for people who are doing reciprocal parking, so a parent potentially dropping a school child off and another child at the daycare in the one parking episode is probably pretty advantageous for the entire community and the network.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Member Levanti.
My question is a really lead on from the earlier question from member. And you talked about the maintenance burden that your engineering team advised you of. I'm interested in understanding what sort of maintenance burden, or do you have any information about what that sort of maintenance burden would be, given that this proposal or this condition requires the applicant to actually construct those embayed parking to the satisfaction and the specifications of the city. Do you have any sort of knowledge as to what the engineering team were viewing as a maintenance burden?
As I understand, it's, because these things are there for decades potentially, then there's the maintenance to the surface and the curbs and stuff like that that'll happen as wear and tear over time, but also the frequent sweeping and all those sorts of things that occur in road reserves on a pretty regular basis. And they've made that calculation for us and based it over per bay. I think it was about a square metre rate per bay, and then they forecast that over the 10 or 15 year time period to come up with the figure.
Can I just have a follow-up question there? Would it be fair to say that the maintenance that you're referring to there, excuse me, is something that occurs across the whole city and, for instance, road sweeping, and that is accounted for in the rates that are paid? So it's all calculated and comes out of the rates?
Yes, I guess you could certainly make that argument, but in this particular case, we're talking about additional infrastructure in a road reserve being car bays, rather than a grassed verge or whatever else. So there's additional wear and tear on that particular part of town. This is me, coming up with the answers on the spot for something I don't entirely understand myself. But that is what I would say that the justification would be.
One more question.
Yes, you go ahead.
Can I take you to condition 21? And there's a requirement that delivery vehicles, the refrigeration units must be turned off during loading and unloading. It would be my understanding that they wouldn't be able to do that or shouldn't do that they'd probably have other refrigerated goods in there. And I'm not sure that that's something that they can do or would be allowed to do. Can you respond to that?
Yes, that it's within a residential area, and when the delivery vehicles come and go, when they're sitting there idling for some time, I don't expect that we'd be talking about turning them off for more than 5 or 10 minutes. These deliveries would, I assume, happen very fast in a childcare facility. We're not unloading pallets worth of frozen goods and things like that. I'd say it's more a case of some perishable products like milk and stuff like that they drop off on a daily basis or weekly basis. And it's just a standard condition that our health team routinely require in a residential zone.
Yeah, I understand the reasons, but can they actually do it? Are they allowed to?
On the basis that it's routinely applied and routinely abided with, I would assume that they can.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Okay, I've just got one question in regard. Oh, sorry, Councillor Knight, you go ahead.
Just a question. Obviously, there's discussion around the parking. I suppose I'd like to understand. Obviously, there's been an agreement that the city officers have worked through with the proponent. If there was a move to not have that street parking, what is the consequence of that, and would the proponent be required to provide the parking on site?
Thanks for the question. Through the chair, I'd guess the consequences would be additional pressure on the existing surrounding on-street parking availability that is provided through that school. But in addition, the reason we came up with the street parking as a viable alternative was because we believe that the development itself benefits from the size, the play space and the landscaping on the site. And forcing another bay or two on that site would probably be less desirable outcome. And it's a more suitable alternative. Makes the site itself more useful for the childcare facility and a bit more amenity on the site for the sake of a couple of bays in the car park that stay vacant most of the time.
And just to follow on a question, if I may, Chair.
Go ahead.
Was I correct in understanding that the applicant was seeking to move to 6 parking bays, and just a response from the city on that?
So it's initially 6, and then the current proposal is to reduce that to 4, which still meets and exceeds the minimum requirement, because I believe we're only 1 short on site. The 4 bays would be a very welcome addition to the street network, I think, because of we do see extreme pressure on parking in school zones, and this would be a very small but welcome addition to that release of pressure in the network.
Okay, I've got to follow up on that in that the bays would have to be signposted for pick up or drop off and pick up during certain hours. Otherwise, once the residents move into the locality, there's nothing stopping someone from parking their car there 24/7, I would imagine.
That's true. I mean, the R codes would provide that they require parking on each particular house. This site's not been fully developed by a long way, but any future development of any dwellings would require them to provide their own parking. Notwithstanding that, it is recognised that outside of school hours, people will receive visitors and occasions where those bays will probably be used for that purpose as well.
Yes, I mean, given these days the lot sizes, you struggle to get 2 cars on one site, and you got mum and dad with a car each and 4 teenage kids with 4 cars. On-street parking nearby seems to be swallowed up pretty quickly, and I've experienced that in a number of locations. So I'm just wondering, given that the council, that there will be constructed by the developer, what is there to, I presume there's going to be some signage next to it to restrict parking during pick-up and drop-off times.
Thanks. Yes, I suggest that we've got a parking committee that is chaired by our executive manager for development compliance, and I would suggest that we would probably take that to that team to see if we could install parking once it's been constructed, parking signage or restricted parking signage. They usually go through a committee process to accept any restricted parking zones, and that would probably be a good candidate for that.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. Any further questions of the, yes, Member Lafanti?
My question relates to the development adjoining the site, which shows and our plans include a lot configuration. What are the protocols around driveway locations?
I don't understand that we've got any LDPs currently, but normally where they're reloaded lots, we would have LDPs as a condition of any subdivision approvals. To clear those subdivision approvals, we'd get LDPs, and if we had concerns about interfaces with driveways with, like particularly if we've got on-street parking, we would dictate that through an LDP process.
So one of the plans shows a central lot directly out onto Carmel Way. I'm assuming that the location of these on-street bays would need to be cognizant of the location of driveway. So I'm assuming to your satisfaction or to the city's satisfaction, like the orientation. I know the applicant said the 2 furthest away towards the corner, but that may interfere with the actual functioning of those residential lots.
Yes, it's a good point. I mean, as I say, like the residential lots are yet to be fully developed out. We'll probably have the local development plan, which determines where those accesses are gained. But yes, take your point. I'd say as a quick snapshot response to the applicant's suggestion to take a more central location for the on-street bays does make a bit of sense, but we would need to probably coordinate it with any future residential access arrangement. So I don't believe that Mr. Cake's response was also that finite where that was going to go. He sort of indicated where it would be more logical, and we'd probably try and coordinate that.
Thank you. That was my only question.
Thank you. Any further questions of the council or presenters? If not, panel members, we now consider the application, and in order for us to do so and move into discussion on it, I need a mover and seconder for the recommendation as published at this stage. Do I have a mover? Member Lafanti. Seconder? Councillor Knight. Member Lafanti, you'd like to speak to the item?
Yes, I'll speak to the item. I agree that the land use is an appropriate land use for the site, as we have had material provided also that it's been designed, or the configuration of the overall area has been created in order to facilitate a childcare on that site. So in terms of its land use is appropriate. I also know that the design review panel comments incorporating elements regarding street surveillance and improved vehicle access of Carmel were agreed and supported by the city. That was interesting from my perspective, particularly given that the accessway, the main accessway, vehicle accessway into the premises comes from the lower order residential street. So it was of great interest to me that both the DRP and the city supported that. I note that the rest of the development is undeveloped, and therefore future residents will be familiar with what is expected, and therefore there is a knowledge around the sense of activity in relation to amenity expected in that area. The scale of the development, I'm satisfied the scale of development is appropriate. It's obviously close proximity to the school. I'm satisfied also that the hours of operation and the treatments for managing the noise mitigation are appropriate. I am curious around the 4 special occasions, but they're only limited to 4 and they are limited hours. I hadn't seen a 4 special occasion arrangement for a Saturday, but I don't have any particular concerns about that. And I'm satisfied that the controls on the parking, particularly the bays closest to the residents, being limited before 7 a.m. And I would assume that the staffing will obviously be parked further away. The plan does show parking for staff to ensure that those are managed. Overall, I am supportive of the proposal and the information provided by the technical officers. I would, however, at this junction, wish to move an amendment.
Okay, amendment number 1 being?
My amendment 1 is relates to condition 9. Let's get back to condition 9. Whoops.
Vehicle crossover specifications.
Sorry, no, it's not condition 9. My recommendation is condition 1A. Recommendation amendment 1 is condition 1A, and it does relate to the applicant's requested condition changes regarding tinting and visibility.
Perhaps if you've got the wording there.
That the support of clarification that the tinting of the glass and its location be to the satisfaction of the city.
Okay, so the wording, I believe, is tinted glass proposed in the fencing shall be at least 50% visually permeable for the frontages that face north, south and west. And that's to the satisfaction, well, although it's already, yes, okay, to the satisfaction of the city. Is that
that's just
the wording?
It's just a tiny change to it, really. It's to ensure that these changes, and we have seen this previously, where very small changes have required, because of the language in the condition, for the proposal to be submitted back through the DAP, and it's beneficial that the city has already spoken about this proposal and have worked closely with the applicant. That just clarifies that is the case, including on this one.
Do I have a seconder for that? Member Hyam? Okay, we have the wording. Is there any other member wish to speak to that? If not, I'll put that to a vote. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you very much. Member Bafandi, do you have any other?
Yes, my second modification amendment 2 is condition 17. And I support the applicant's change from 6 bays to 4 bays. Obviously, the location to be final determination to be with the city to the city's satisfaction. However, I would also seek the removal of the payment contribution for the maintenance of the verge.
Okay, so the condition 17 would change, instead of 6 embayments, have 4.
Yeah.
And
so there's 2 changes. It's the first line from 6 embayments to 4, and then the last 3 points, which is, and the applicant shall pay a cost to the city. I'm saying that whole section should be deleted. Okay. And I'll speak to that if I get a seconder.
All right. Do we have a seconder to that? Okay, Member Lafanti, do you wish to speak further on that? Or
Yes, I agree. The movement of 6 to 4 reflects both what the applicants advised us as well as the city in terms of what will ultimately be the arrangements and configuration for residential, including their driveways. In terms of the parking contribution for maintenance, I disagree with that. Their framework isn't there, from my perspective, in order to support it. But also the information that we've got is that these are bays open for the general community. They are subject to change depending on the residential development form, as well as maintenance obligations, generally obligations of the city. The condition does require that these bays be constructed to the city's standard, and I don't see it appropriate that the introduction of general maintenance for on-street created bays is an appropriate condition for planning.
okay, thank you. Member Home has seconded. You wish to speak to that?
Yes, thank you. Look, I agree entirely with that. As the officers have already indicated, they don't have a parking in lieu payment plan, which is required under the regulations. So there's no transparency around charging a maintenance fee for what is public parking. And in any event, it's the responsibility of the city through their rates. I can't imagine that when they're calculating their operating costs for each year that they'll reduce that operating cost by 4 bays in terms of the rates they'll charge, or they'll reduce the rates to this particular site. So it's not appropriate that this sort of a charge is made at this stage, unless there is a proper parking plan prepared, and which is very, very open process for that to be prepared. So I don't support the idea of a maintenance fee.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone wish to speak for or against the amendment? Councillor Knight?
Thank you. I will be speaking against the amendment. I think it's disappointing given the great deal of work that the proponent and the city have done to arrive at this position, given that there isn't, they aren't providing the parking on their actual site. This is advantageous to the community, and given that the proponent is supportive of those 4 bays, I think it's disappointing that we would use the suggestion that people are paying already with their rates as a reason to not support this. So I'm sorry, but I cannot support the amendment.
Thank you. Councillor Rogers, do you wish to speak to the item, or again, for or against?
Against the item, only to say, echoing the same points, that this has been, I guess, negotiated between the parties at the expense of requiring extra bays on the site, and I don't really understand the comment about the lack of transparency. That doesn't necessarily makes sense to me as a statement, given that we're considering it in public forum. So I don't really understand that. But no, I'll be voting against the amendment.
Okay, look, I'm going to vote against the amendment. I understand the planning rationale, or the need for a planning plan, or a plan for cash in lieu for payment. This has been negotiated in good faith. We're talking about $4,000 over a 10-year period or something. I think it's disappointing that there is no cash in lieu or parking plan, but given the amount and the good faith that's been shown to date, I'll be speaking against the amendment. Member Lafanti, you wish to speak any further?
My only comments would be that the provision of construction of on-road bays is a contribution by the applicant, and I don't see the need for an additional fee associated with maintenance.
Okay, thank you. All right, well, I'll put the amendment. All those in favour? 2 against? 3. Thank you. The amendment's defeated. Any other amendments?
No other amendments at this juncture, and I have no further comments on the proposal.
Okay, all right. Councillor Knight has seconded. Do you wish to speak, or have I gone, or you already spoken to
No,
that?
that was my substantive.
Oh, that was your substantive. Okay, councillor Knight, you wish to speak to the item as seconder?
Thank you. Look, I think there's been adequate discussion. I'm satisfied there is a great need for this in the north of our city, rapidly growing area with a lot of young families. I think the location is highly appropriate. I think the compromise that has worked with the City of Mandurah and also the proponent in terms of the on-street parking is appropriate, and I think will be a benefit to the community. So yes, I'm happy to support the item.
Thank you. Any other member wish to speak to the matter? Yes.
Thank you, presiding member. Yes, look, I'm fully supportive of the proposal. It's well located, well designed, and an appropriate use in that location. So even with the parking shortfall and the replacement of the 4 bays on site, it's a very workable design from that point of view. And with the other conditions, I think it will work well. So
thank you. Councillor Rogers, do you wish to speak for or against? No? Well, I will speak. Before I do, I'll move an amendment to move condition 4 from the prior to construction section to the prior to occupancy section, and numbers of conditions can be reworded, worked out after that. I think the applicant's made a good submission in regard to why that waste management plan should be implemented prior to construction. So I'm moving that. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Member Hyam. I won't speak any further. Member Hyam, do you wish to speak
No, I
to
think
that?
it's self-explanatory.
If not, any other panel member wish to speak to that item? If not, I'll put it to a vote. All those in favour? Okay, that's unanimous for amendment 3. Yes, thank you. Given the, I'll speak to the item, the substantive motion to support it. Once again, I concur with the sentiments of other members that are in support of the application. It's well located and co-located with other land uses. I think it's a very attractive development, appropriate design to fit in with the residential character of the current and future neighbourhood, and the support that it's received through the council assessment is also encouraging. The RA has covered the attributes of the development quite good. So with that, I'll put it back to Member Lafanti to have right of reply on the.
I've made all my comments, thank you.
Okay, well, that being the case, I'll put the recommendation for approval as amended. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on the agenda to item 4, Form 2 DAP applications. There are none. Item 5, Saturday considerations. There are none. At this stage, I'll thank Councillor Knight and Councillor Rogers for their participation, and council staff, of course. And we'll move on to part C of the agenda, City of Wanneroo. Thank you very much. Councillor Hunt, okay? Okay, we have everybody present for part C of the agenda for the City of Wanneroo. At this stage, I'll welcome Councillors Huntley and Smith and the council staff. Item 2 on the agenda, disclosures of interest. Oh, no, sorry. Declaration of due consideration. Will all panel members indicate that duly considered all of the documentation contained within Part C of the agenda and Part C related information by raising your hand, please. That's all have. Thank you very much. Item 2, disclosure of interest. Are there any other items that disclosure of interest from members? If not, councillors, was this item considered at a briefing or council session? No? Okay, thank you. Well, we'll move on to consideration of the bulky goods showrooms application at number 2 Peony Boulevard, Yanchep. We don't have any presentations at this stage, but Mr. Simpson is available to answer any questions. So, do any panel members have any questions of Mr. Simpson in regard to the application? Yes, Mr. Hine.
Peter, with regard to condition 17, what do you understand where it says that the is to be modified and improved architectural design? Incorporate an improved architectural design. What's your understanding of that?
Sure. So there's two aspects to it. When we originally lodged the application, we actually had 2 crossovers to the service area, which we found was more beneficial in terms of vehicle access, which also included some built form along that frontage in terms of noise mitigation. As part of the application consideration, the city identified that our southern crossover was too close to the roundabout in terms of separation. So what we had to do then is revert the service area to a single crossover. And as part of that, we didn't update the acoustic report, but we acknowledged that we're going to have to put some screening in there as an acoustic measure to the service bay, and we'll need to work through that. And we're comfortable that that will be required, and we'll need to do that in consultation with the city.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions of Mr. Simpson? No, if not, do any panel members have questions of the council staff regarding the comments from Mr. Simpson or any other matter regarding the application? Councillor Huntley, yes.
Yeah, thank you. Hope you can hear me.
Yes.
Yeah, look, I can see again, condition 23 is again this 7 days for graffiti. I'd just like to ask our planning officers, this keeps cropping up, but there is no way that these guys can remove graffiti in 7 days. We have discussed this before, and we did start to get some of these with 21 days or up to 30 days, but now we've gone back to 7 days. I'm not sure quite what's happening here, but we will be putting these guys in breach because there's just no way that this can be sorted within 7 days. So I'm just asking our planners really, can you relook at this 7 days again, because I'm going to make I'll foreshadow a motion to move that to 21 days at least.
Council staff.
Yeah, look, that's fine. I'm not sure why this one is 7 days. I did miss that reviewing the report. Our standard condition is changed to remove the days associated with this condition now. Should actually just say shall be removed to the satisfaction of the city.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Any further questions? Panel members, any further questions, staff? I've just got a question regarding the footnote to condition 22, talks about the construction management plan is to be submitted to and approved by the city in consultation with main roads. Is there a reason why it has to go to main roads? Given that none of the roads fronting this development are under their jurisdiction.
No, it shouldn't say main roads. It should say just the city prior to the commencement. So in consultation with main roads should be removed.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Mr. Hyam, you have a question?
Yes, yes. Does condition 1 need to be there for any particular reason?
No, it doesn't. It'll be removed.
All right. Any further questions of staff? If not, we'll move on to the item as a panel, and in order to do so, I need a mover. Do I have a mover for the recommendation? Member Lafanti. A seconder? Councillor Smith. Member Lafanti.
Thank you. I am supportive of this proposal. It largely meets the provisions of the planning framework. The uses are discretionary under the provisions, and I'm satisfied that the design reflects in its type and location the nature of the development, and it's appropriate within the context, noting that the city have provided details in their RAR relating to this particular type of use. I know that many of the submissions have raised concerns around the leasing arrangements, the types of businesses such as fast food or supermarkets. However, from my perspective, whilst I can understand their concerns, and they made some comment about other types of businesses, these are outside of the planning framework. So having given due regard for them, I'm satisfied that the proposal as submitted meets the commercial zoning guidelines, both in nature, type and scale of development. The provision also provides appropriate on-site parking. I note there is an overall shortfall. However, the proposal, in terms of its relationship and connection to the rest of the centre, provides use of a variety of bays, or a number of bays. They are reciprocal. They operate in a reciprocal sense, although not necessarily formally reciprocal. And this also reflects the diverse uses of land and the peak periods of demand within the area. Overall, I'm satisfied that the proposal, both in its design, access and use, is appropriate in this site on this location.
Thank you. Councillor Smith is second. Or you to speak? No? Okay. Member Hyam, you wish to speak?
Thank you. Yes, look, I agree with the mover's comments entirely. It's an appropriate development. It is generally consistent with the planning framework. There are a number of areas of discretion which we need to exercise. One of them being the parking shortfall, and as mentioned, it's supported. I agree with the support comments through the RAR, and I think the amount of parking is appropriate there. In terms of the landscaping, I suppose it's a bit disappointing to not have the number of trees replaced there, but I understand the reasons and the fact that there's awning and canopy that will replace some of those trees or make it difficult for the trees to be put in. I'd like to make an amendment, if I may, which is to delete condition 1 as its legislative changes would not require that condition anymore.
Thank you. So moving deletion of condition 1. Do I have a second? Yes, Member Lafanti. Do you wish to speak to the item further, Mr. Hyam? No. Member Lafanti?
No.
Any other discussion on the matter? If not, I'll move. Oh, sorry. We'll vote on the item amendment 1 to delete condition 1. All in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you.
And just, I suppose, a tidy up of an advice note, or the advice note 2. I want to see if we get a second to delete where it says in the third line down, specified in the approval by the council, to take out by the council. So it's just specified in the approval for the development. It's not the council approving it. And then the third last line where it says, and the certification is to be lodged with the council. It should be with the city. It's not with the city as the legal entity, and that's the operating body that would deal with the conditions, not the council.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a seconder for that amendment, number 2? Councillor Huntley, yes. You wish to speak to that item, Councillor Huntley?
No, I fully agree. It just needs to tidy up.
Okay, all right. Any other panel member wish to speak to that amendment? If not, I'll put the amendment. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you. Member Hyam.
No, that's me.
Okay, thank you. Any other panel member wish to speak for or against the recommendation? Councillor Huntley?
Oh, I just would like to make that amendment to condition 23.
It's amendment 3 to change the wording to 21 days.
No, we can actually, seeing as the city have actually spoken, they just say that any graffiti applied to the external services of the building shall be removed to the satisfaction of the city of Wanneroo. No time limit.
Okay, thank you. All right, do I have a seconder? Yes, Member Lafanti. Any further discussion on that? If not, I'll put that amendment. All in favour? Carried unanimously. Any other member wish to speak to the item? Look, I'll just, sorry, Councillor Smith, yes.
Hi, I think we raised condition 22 about the management plan approved by the city in consultation with Main Roads.
Okay.
And had the discussion that Main Roads was not necessary in that. So if we can tidy that up and delete.
That would be amendment number 4.
22.
Yeah, amendment 4 to delete the words in consultation with Main Roads from that condition. Do I have a seconder? Member Hyam. Any further discussion on that? If not, I'll put that amendment. All in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you. Okay, yes, I'll just concur with previous speakers regarding the application. It's well assessed, and the conditions support the compliance with the relevant conditions and management plans and requirements for built form, setbacks, traffic access, parking, landscaping, signage and noise. So therefore, I will be supporting it. That being the case, I'll move back to Member Lafanti as mover. Any further comments?
No further comments.
If not, all right, I will now put the item to a vote. All those in favour of the recommendation as amended. That's a unanimous for the minute taker. Thank you. Okay, item 4 on the agenda is Form 2 DAP applications. There are none. Item 5, Section 31, SAT reconsiderations. There are none. Part D, under other business, item 1, SAT applications and Supreme Court appeals. There are none. At this stage, I'll thank councillors from the City of Wanneroo and the staff for their participation today, as I will with other panel members and our support staff. And I'll close the meeting at 10:26 a.m. Thank you. Hopefully see you next time.